Welcome to The Driven Deal, the podcast where real estate professionals, investors, and industry experts share insights, strategies, and trends shaping the market. I'm your host, Jose Angel, and in each episode, we dive into game-changing tactics, automation, and success stories to help you stay ahead in the real estate world. Whether you're an agent, broker, or investor, this podcast is designed to bring you valuable knowledge to scale your business. Let's get started. On today's episode of The Driven Deal, we're excited to welcome Timothy Roman, the CEO of KB Imperial and Hudson Development. With extensive experience in real estate development, construction, and property management, Timothy has built a strong reputation for delivering high-quality residential and commercial projects. Under his leadership, KB Imperial and Hudson Development have focused on strategic acquisitions, value-add development, and innovative property solutions that enhance communities and maximize investment potential. Timothy's expertise in real estate development, project management, and market trends makes him the perfect guest to discuss navigating the development process, identifying profitable opportunities, and the future of real estate investment. Get ready for an insightful conversation with a real estate leader shaping the industry. Welcome again, Timothy. Can you share a bit more about your role and how it fits into the bigger picture at Imperial?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the CEO and founder of several companies. One of them is Imperial Kitchen and Bath, which is a supplier, importer, and supplier of interior finishes. And then also Hudson Development, which is a vertically integrated custom home builder and real estate development firm.
Nice. And what does a typical day look like for you?
Typical day is packed with meetings on site, off site, starting anywhere as early as 7 in the morning, where you're going through the items that you prepared the night before, the to-dos. Afternoons are very much business development and driving the train forward and pushing for always, trying to innovate, trying to stand out from the competition, trying to learn new things that you can do to better the industry and better your business.
Of course. And any major shifts that you're seeing in the industry right now?
I think it's a rather slow start to the year versus typical. I think it has a lot to do with the trailing effect of 2024, which was very hesitant Q4, giving the environment, the election environment, which is typically kind of puts a pause on things. People are a little hesitant as they're not sure. And it starts from the top, right? So the big players sort of slow the train down and it trickles down to everyone down, boots on the ground doing the things. So I think that what we saw, there was a lot of uncertainty about interest rates that had an impact. But overall, in my industry, I mean, it's been very positive, through, before, during COVID, after COVID, now, before elections, after elections, because the industry that I'm in is predominantly single family home development, and we are way behind on the supply in the United States in terms of single families. So I think I'm okay for the foreseeable future.
Nice. Now that you mentioned that, okay, so you have two different companies. You develop single-family homes in New Jersey, and you also import what is basically kitchen and bathroom appliances, right? That,
Yeah.
by the way, when I told my wife about this, I made sure for not to look at your website because it's really nice. I mean, yes. So
Thank you.
congratulations. So yeah, I mean, that's a good sign then that if you guys are behind with the actual demand on the market, I mean, that's a good problem to have. I mean, people have that necessity of new homes being built over there, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and we're positioned in what we call affordable luxury, which is, it's hard to put the word affordable in context of a $2 million plus home, but that is the reality in some of the areas, right? We are in a very densely populated environment, urban environment, very close to New York City, and the closer you are to the sun, the more expensive things are going to be. So for us, an affordable home is now starting at, minimum $1 million. So we are in that, $1 to $3 million mark. And in that category, there's a lot of demand because, the ultra luxury is in its own world and the affordable housing is its own world. That middle bracket is something that we've been really lagging ever since the great financial crisis because lending has become more stringent. A lot of developers were, you know, left with nothing. They, went out of business. And overall, just consumers are a lot more careful before they sign on a loan. So all of that combined sort of slowed down the supply and the production. And now, as we're kind of getting out of this, yeah, we're, hopefully got the inflation under control. There's money in the system, but people need to move. People need to downsize, upsize, relocate. People have kids, and that drives the market whether we like it or not. And that, something that we capitalize on.
And right now, I mean, I know you're in New Jersey, and I'm thinking that the real estate development part of the business is only focused on New Jersey, or do you develop outside of New Jersey as well?
Just New Jersey. We are now only now this year launching an investment fund. So that's a totally separate entity, given that we are vertically integrated developers, meaning we have, the design, the construction, the product supply under one roof. The only thing that's left now is to become a truly equity-driven developer backed by private equity, which is what we're focusing on now. And that avenue is going to go residential, and we're looking into hospitality. So residential will stay local to New Jersey, but hospitality, I think we will, be looking all over United States.
Nice, nice. And how about with the KB Imperial? Does that also only nurture on the local market, or do you attend other states as well?
That sort of is that business is part of vertical integration. So it's really predominantly feeding our business, but the clients that do sort of come in and say, "Hey, could you help me out? I know you have this operation." Yes, it's very, very local.
All right, nice. How about artificial intelligence, Timothy? Has it affected your business growth strategy in
Yeah,
some way?
it's only positive feedback. I mean, we've been implementing it ever since ChatGPT has showed promising feedback and has been developing ever since and getting better and better. So we use it for everyday interactions with clients, helping us analyze information, compile information. It has helped us become amateur lawyers, right? Because we now, instead of going to our attorney on retainer who charges $400 or $500 an hour, we can look through contracts for some gaps and intricacies, and it helps us understand. It's really good at compiling information and making it very understandable. Also, it's very good at research, which we do a lot of, new practices, new materials. Hey, what are the pros and cons of this? So if a client that is building a home with us has a very in-depth technical question, we could just say, hey, chat, give a really great, easy to digest explanation. And now we just saved ourselves 30 minutes from, putting that together, proofreading it, getting it approved by me, and then sending it out to a client. And also use it for design. It's really good at preliminary design stages where, we can say, hey, the client has these wish list items, give us of what you think that kitchen, that bathroom, that living room, that basement should look like. And now we have conceptuals, A, B, C, versus before my team would spend, 2 to 3 days putting renderings together because that software is very labor intensive. So we've utilized it to the max that we can, and it's been very fruitful.
Nice, nice, nice. It's important to be up in time with the technology that's coming out. And I mean, every day there's a new tool coming out, and ChatGPT definitely has helped, I mean, every business right now.
Absolutely.
So right now, what has been working well for you and what has been kind of frustrating in your operation?
Everything's working well, to be honest with you, as much as I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but I'm very big on systems optimizations. I'm very SOP driven guy. So every night I'm always thinking, the punchline in my head is if we do something more than once, it needs to have a system. Everything and anything gets optimized and systematized when I put my hands on it. So our business is very lean, it's very efficient, it's optimized for margin, for performance. So no complaints there. I think more on the pain point side, just macro, I think more market certainty would be helpful. With the new presidency, it's been very turbulent the first couple of weeks. There's a lot of big words being thrown around, tariffs and trade wars and this. And that could have a very bleak impact, very stark impact on our industry because, what is a home? A home is just made up of hundreds of commodities put together, right? The wood, the steel, the glass. We're not making any of it, very little. So it's all coming in from somewhere. 80% of that somewhere is China. The rest of it is Canada, very little Europe. So if we get into a trade war, that's going to have a direct impact on us. So I think that's a pain point to watch out for. Obviously, we would love to see the interest rates a little bit of a nosedive. A realistic one. We know it's not going to be 3 to 4, maybe even. Like fives would be nice because it would really boost transaction volume. It would really help us out. And it would also, lower interest rates would obviously just hopefully help with affordability. Just, yes, home prices are going to constantly keep growing just because land value and inflation, it's like water, right? It's just rising all boats. But at least it'll allow clients to go down on that monthly payment and kind of just get in the home that they wanted to get in that they otherwise can't right now because, 2-3% spread over 30 years on $1 million, $2 million home makes a huge difference. And I think that's about it. Other than that, we're very positive in 2025 overall.
Nice, nice. And any metrics that are you focused on improving on right now?
A client acquisition. That's always been a high level pain point because it's hard to dial these things in with market constantly fluctuating, with media buying, with influencers, with social media platforms. One is hot now, the other one is hot tomorrow. So that's been hard, and that's what we're really trying to optimize for. That's our most important KPI is our not just top of funnel client attraction, but bottom of funnel, like what does that cost per acquisition look like? And should we be looking somewhere else to optimize and drive that price down?
Okay, and into that regards, so far, what has been working well to getting people through the door, and what do you think hasn't been working well?
We have taken a sort of hand-to-hand combat, one-to-one versus one-to-many, meaning we go after B2B, someone like an architect, for example, where we know if we get to just one architect, that architect will have many leads that they're exposed to. So by way of that architect, we are obviously are exposing ourselves as well. So we've been doing a lot of that because home building is very much a relationship business. It's not something that people are going to transact off an Instagram ad, right? It's not a t-shirt, it's not a mug. So we've been doing that and now thinking about, okay, how do we convert that into social media? So we have a plan put together where we're going to do a lot of informative content, hoping to attract either those same architects and other trade professionals or the end consumer that is entering the market that is looking for potential builders because we're just one step of the process. There is a broker, there's an architect, and then it gets to the builder. So that way that informative content can hopefully expose us to all the above and drive more leads, more top funnel awareness.
And right now, speaking of leads, how are you attracting those leads?
Predominantly social media. So we have a pretty active Instagram and we do pay-per-click on Google.
Okay, perfect. No cold emails or anything like that right now?
Cold emails are just B2B. So if we're talking end client, we do the social media. If we're B2B, it's only cold call and cold email. And that's been very fruitful with a proper script and approach that has worked very well.
Nice. How about the competition? How are you remaining competitive right now?
Just by doing those things, by one staying very optimized on the back end so you can stay competitive price wise, but on a front end, exposing yourself, showing content, showing portfolio, because historically builders are very much behind the scenes. They hide better than they are out on the platforms, and that is what we've been doing, kind of putting ourselves out there to show people, look, we are here to stay. We're not just like a fly-by-night operation. It's a very serious business, and that's something that we're looking to constantly develop and evolve and really, built into a legacy company. I think it's just, there's only so much that you can do when you're a home builder outside of providing valuable information and having a competitive price. It's just it's unlike other industries where brand has a big impact. We are very much smaller size businesses, family or just small, medium-sized operations. So investing a lot in a brand, for example, might not do too much for you because you're not going national. You're not looking for, national brand awareness. You're looking for a specific target audience. So that's really it.
Any big plans for 2025? Where do you see yourself from now in the next 6 to 12 months?
2025, we see ourselves being a developer. Again, there's a lot to capitalize on in terms of single family housing in America and looking to expand that outside of New Jersey, going into areas where it's very much very behind and affordability is a real concern versus the area that I'm in now, it's a lot middle upper. Affordability, yes, 2-3% mortgage makes a difference, but not really, right? These clients are going to buy no matter what. So if a $2 million budget it doesn't work, a 1.7 will. We're still talking a very expensive home versus you go to some areas of Texas, Arizona, for $700,000, it's a mansion. So we're looking to address that head on and really expose ourselves and then go after other industries like hospitality development.
Nice. And any major challenges that you have today? I mean, if you could solve one, what would it be?
Capital. I think cost of capital has become very expensive. And I think that's just been a huge challenge for everyone. So I think that's really a big one.
All right then. Well, thank you very much, Timothy. That was great. Thank you for sharing these insights with us. Where can people reach out to you if they want to get in contact with you?
I'm on LinkedIn at Timothy Roman. Also, Instagram, it's either Imperial Cabinetry or Hudson Development. So those two are the best places for someone to reach out to me.
All right then. Thank you very much, Timothy, for making the time.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.